Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Scooch back here again for another video. I am assuming that you are a little confused by the title of this video. You're thinking, what person in their right mind would buy a four-cylinder Honda over a big V8 Corvette? And I did that. But little backstory to that. And before we actually get into it, so this is going to be one of the last videos I'll be making before I actually start modifying this Delsol. So those of you that have been following the channel for a little while, thank you. It's much appreciated. And anybody new here, hit that subscribe button down below. Definitely consider, because we got a lot of stuff coming up with this car. And if you check around the channel, you'll see a lot of stuff with other people's cars that I got right now. But yeah, so the first part of this modification actually came in the mail today. It's nothing huge, but it is kind of the first real thing I've done to this car other than like tint. And of course the car came with a cold air intake when I bought it. But that's really about it. Nothing too crazy. So anyway, yeah, hit that subscribe button and leave a comment down below on what you think that modification might be. I'm curious to see if any of you will actually get it. I have mentioned it, I believe, before in one of my earlier videos. So I'm curious if somebody's actually going to grab that. But anyway, let's get right into it. So yeah, basically when it was about a year ago now, actually, almost to the month, back in May of 2019, I was working in Providence, and I live in basically Worcester, Massachusetts. So that's about a 45-minute drive for me. And doing all of that driving was starting to put a lot of miles on my STI. And I don't mind putting miles on cars. I love driving, and I love, knowing that the car is getting used. But I really do have intentions to keep that car for a long time. It can get costly to do work on that car, and it's just one of those things where it was climbing up in the miles, and I didn't want to use all the miles on commuter miles. I wanted them to be, weekend miles and, going out at night and, just fun miles. I wanted them fun miles. Trust me, it still gets quite a bit of that even to this day. So I started looking at different cars, and I had looked at a Subaru wagon from a guy that my dad works with. It was a nice wagon, actually, and it would have been great to drive as a daily, but things ended up happening. He didn't sell it, and I didn't take it. And I started looking at Hondas and things like that. I started looking at Civics and, Accords, and I was kind of poking around. I'm like, but I figured to myself, me driving 40, actually close to 100 miles a day, I wanted to get something that was a little more enjoyable to drive. I wasn't going to be doing a lot of heavy traffic. When I went back and forth into Boston every day, there was traffic, so I was initially looking at something without a stick. But going to Rhode Island, there's not a lot of traffic, so I figured, okay, well, if I get a standard, that's still going to be a fun time. It's not going to be brutal. And I just was looking around a lot of different stuff, and then I started thinking to myself, and I said, I can get a Corvette for like $2.5, $3 grand, and the C4 model, of course. Don't think I was going out and buying a C6 or a C7, or even a C5 for that matter. But I started looking, and I was like, if I could get a Targa top, little coupe, it wouldn't be great on gas at all, but it would be a lot of fun. It makes V8 noises. I'm like, this would be a fun little car to have just to cruise around in. It'd be a great summer car in general, I just figured, okay, this would be awesome. And I start looking around, and I'm looking at a couple, and I called a few guys, and I went to see a few of them, and it just was not in the cards. There was one in particular. All those cars are made of fiberglass, as a lot of you know. And I went to look at one of them, and he had pieces missing, because it comes off in chunks. So he had pieces of the body missing. He wanted way too much for it. The car had like 70,000 miles on it, which is not a lot for a 92, but it is a lot for a Corvette. And the cars in similar condition were going for, like, again, $2.5, $3 grand. This guy wanted $4.5, and what it came down to was the fact that his wife told him to sell it, and he didn't want to get rid of it, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I'd be the same way. And he jacked the price up, so and he wouldn't budge on it, so nobody could buy it. which is fine, you know. I mean, that's what you do. You got to do what you got to do to keep the car in the garage. I respect it. But he was just being a little bit of a jerk about it. He wouldn't, you know, work with you on the price at all. It was just aggravating. So I ended up walking away from that one, and then that's when I stumbled, or when I remembered that my friend Will still had this car laying around. Will had bought this car off of a woman, which if you look back, I won't go too in depth with it. I do have a walk around on this car and a full story in one of my previous videos on where this car came from. But basically, long story short, he bought it off of a customer of his. He's a auto mechanic. He owns his own shop, and he bought this car off a woman, and he drove it for a couple years. His mother drove it for a couple years in the summer. I texted him and I said, "Hey, Will, can I get that Delsol?" And he goes, yeah, you can take it. And you know, he sold to me for $2,800, which, I mean, you know, it's 26 years old now. But it was a pretty reasonable price. He did the timing belt for me. He actually did the brakes for me as well. So he left me with a car that was ready to be driven. The only thing I actually had to do on it was tires. And I mean, those were $60 a pop. Tires in this car are not expensive. So I really kind of got it for a pretty good deal. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's not a base Civic, you know, it's a Delsol. It's got the B16, you know, it has the Targa top, it's a coupe, it's a stick, you know, it's a nice car. It's a really nice car for $2,800, and it's more fun to drive than your average Civic or Accord, in my opinion. Just want to merge out here. So, you know, I really, in my opinion, I think I kind of got the best of both worlds. I got good gas mileage, and I still got that Targa top that I wanted out of the Corvette. The only thing I didn't get was the V8. But, you know, I avoided getting an LT1, which, you know, they're not the worst engines in the world, but they're not the best either. So I'll save the Corvette for the C5, which is what I want to get next. So I think at the end of the day, I made out all right. But that's my story on how I got a Honda over a Corvette. So thank you for watching. Appreciate you guys coming back. We're so close to 50 subscribers as of today. We got 40 right now. I would love to get up to 50. Anybody that's watching this channel knows I want to hit 1,000, but I'm setting goals here. Let's get to 50 subscribers. Hit that button, hit the bell notification so you know when I upload videos. And I will see you back here next time. Don't forget the next Delsol video, provided those parts come in this week. I'm hoping the other half of them come in. If they come in this week, parts are going on this weekend. So you will see the first modification to the Delsol. So yeah, thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.